And finally tonight, the president's many ways to get out his message. Jeffrey Brown has our media unit report.
When I was running for president, I promised to open up the White House to the American people. And this event, which is being streamed live over the internet, marks an important step towards achieving that goal.
President Obama this morning as he began his first of its kind interactive online town hall meeting. The subject was the economic crisis.
When can we expect the jobs that have been outsourced to other countries to come back and be made available to the unemployed workers here in the United States?
I guess the answer to the question is not all of these jobs are going to come back.
The president spent an hour answering questions selected by his staff from the more than 100,000 that came in on the White House website.
We're going to have to be patient and persistent about job creation because I don't think that we've lost all the jobs we're going to lose in this recession.
Billed as an effort from a White House that is, quote, open for questions, today's event was just the latest in a recent blitz of public appearances by the president as he's pushed his agenda for fixing the economy and passing his new budget. Last week, hundreds camped out in Los Angeles for a chance to attend this traditional town hall meeting with the president and pepper him with their concerns.
If the middle class is doing well, if working people are doing well, then everybody does well.
But while in L.A., President Obama did something no sitting president has ever done. He appeared on a late-night talk show.
What should they do? Put their money in the bank? Should they be spending money? Should they hide it under their mattress?
Well, look, first of all, everybody should have complete confidence in the banks. Their deposits are protected. They shouldn't be putting it in their mattresses. I will leave it up to others to provide individual personal financial advice. But I will say this, that if you're working right now, obviously you've got to be prudent and you've got to recognize that the economy's been in a tough way.
The appearance with Jay Leno reached 12.8 million American homes. A few nights later, 16 million viewers tuned in to watch the president on the CBS News program 60 Minutes, his second appearance on that show since taking office.
Thank you, Mr. President.
This Tuesday, it was back to Washington for a prime-time press conference.
Is Lourdes here?
Where the president notably called on reporters from a wider range of outlets than is typically the case. The recent blitz even included a nod to millions of fellow basketball fans when the president invited ESPN to the White House to watch him fill in his NCAA tournament bracket.
Now, for the Tar Heels that are watching, I picked you all last year. You let me down. This year, don't embarrass me in front of the nation. All right? I'm counting on you.
Despite a tough first round, the president's final four picks are all still in play. And joining me to discuss the president's outreach efforts are Kathleen Hall Jamieson, director of the University of Pennsylvania's Annenberg Public Policy Center, Richard Norton-Smith, scholar in residence at George Mason University, and Julie Barco-Germany, director of the George Washington University's Institute for Politics, Democracy, and the Internet. Well, Kathleen Hall Jamieson, this event today, an online town hall meeting, fitted into this blitz of public appearances we've been seeing from the president. How do you look at it?
The president has been taking the same message to very different audiences, and in the process, he's been calibrating the rhetoric to those audiences' needs. For example, in the press conference, what you saw, the recent press conference, what you saw was a rhetoric that was more technical, it was more detailed. Some people who aren't paying high levels of attention to politics might have been confused by some of it, but the elite audience was being communicated to very effectively. On the Leno show, the audience that pays less attention to politics but nonetheless votes, and that's the most persuasive audience, was given reassurance. It was given the outlines of his plan, and it was reassured the banks are fine, they're sound. Well, what the president did today was reached out to the audience that was the core of his campaign with an internet strategy that added interactivity, and in the process translated a campaign promise into performance for that audience. He promised transparency, he promised accountability, he promised a new kind of communication strategy, and what you saw today was over 3 million people coming online to help select the questions he would answer. Hence, they feel that they're part of this event in a unique way. And over 100,000 people who phrased questions. That's a very important use of interactivity to reinforce that message with a core audience.
So Julie Barco, Germany, who are these people? Who is the audience for something like an event like this? Where are we in terms of political communication on the internet?
Well, the online audience looks a lot like you, me, our neighbors, and our coworkers. It's not just a playground for 18 to 25-year-olds anymore. 30-year-olds blog, 40-year-olds blog, 50-year-olds shop online, oh, and they also blog. 60-year-olds check the weather online, oh, and they're also on blogs and online media and checking out web videos as well. So increasingly, the online audience looks a lot like the American public as a whole.
And an event like this, how interactive is it?
How interactive is it really?
Yeah.
It definitely has the appearance of being highly interactive. After all, 90,000 people submitted 100,000 questions, and they were voted on 3 million times. But it's not the type of interactivity that you or I would have going online and tweeting our friends, or going on Facebook and updating a profile, or emailing each other, or posting a comment on a blog. There's still a gatekeeper. And the gatekeepers are the people who selected the questions. It was a wonderful piece of performance, but that performance was still staged, and it was still performance.
So Richard, what jumps out at you about this is a new technology?
Yeah, well, it's a new media culture too, and which means it's a new political culture. I mean, the YouTube nation bears very little resemblance to Teddy Roosevelt's bully pulpit. The concept is the same, the idea of a president practicing what Woodrow Wilson called government by advocacy. FDR with the fireside chats, or John F. Kennedy with his mastery of televised press conferences. But it's a much more fragmented audience, in line with what Kathleen was saying. And that's why you see all of these individual targeted efforts of outreach by the president, trying to reach different parts of the audience. 40 years ago, the White House would have called 3 men sitting in towers in New York and said, give me a half hour of prime time tomorrow night for a presidential address. There would have been no questions asked. And in those days, the president could actually move numbers significantly.
Well,